So we've looked at hell as a plausible reality that calls for critical thought, careful thought. Hell as a plausible reality that calls for justified belief. I now move to hell as a probable reality that calls for personal response. Because as a probable reality, it puts a huge amount of burden on those who are listening, watching, hearing, and are able to process the concepts of hell into a personal response. Anytime there is a disaster that's upcoming, it calls for personal response. Over the last few months, the world has seen several major fires. For example, in Athens, Greece, the entire area was being affected by huge fires. The alpine scenery had turned into moonscape. The archaeological sites were being affected. Greek firefighters, they were very involved in the firefighting response, but they called on Italian and French firefighters to help them. And that's the manner and approach with which I come to you, because I would like to see if some rescue strategies can be offered to you. Well, there was another large fire, a series of fires, probably because of arson, in Southern California in the United States. Again, thousands of acres were being affected. Over 10,000 people were under mandatory evacuation orders from their homes. However, some of them did not want to move because they said, "We are not afraid of the danger." Some were critically injured and a few died because they did not want to respond to the evacuation orders. And then, when I landed in Melbourne, Australia, they had what is called Black Saturday. Over 200 people had been killed. I was there within a week or two after this terrible situation. When I landed, my host showed me a text message that the government had sent from the government of Victoria State to all its citizens saying, be ready, the fires are coming, you need to watch out. Run away, move, try to do something about your situation. And yet, some people thought that the government was crying wolf. They did not want to take action. I saw poster boards all over the place saying, "Are you bushfire ready? Are you bushfire ready? Plan, prepare, practice." Which brings me to hell as a probable situation. I wish we could appeal just to emotion in order to justify the reality of hell, but that will not establish its reality. It doesn't matter how we feel and think about hell. That doesn't establish or negate its reality. Some people think by appealing to emotion you can establish truth. You cannot. Recently, there was the incident of the gem of Tanzania, also called the Star of Zanzibar. For many years, it was rated for over 10 million pounds, actually 11 million pounds of value. It was a 10,000 carat, 2 some kilogram, about 4.5 pounds of beautiful ruby. It was actually listed on the balance sheet of a very large company as an asset. This most famous gem of Tanzania, they discovered that was simply one of a low-grade ruby called annualite. And suddenly the cost of this ruby went from 11 million pounds to just 100 pounds. The power of belief in the stone was what gave it value, not the independent value of the stone. In the same way with hell or the lack of hell, your power of belief that hell exists or does not exist does not make it more probable or less probable. You have to cope with what is indeed the fact. The logic is very simple. Just because I cannot prove that hell exists does not mean it does not exist. And just as I cannot prove that hell does not exist does not mean it does not exist. So the existence of hell does not mean it is dependent on whether you can provide proof or not, especially since all of us are working on this side of death. So we come to the whole issue of probability. I borrow this from mathematical probability theory. You know how it goes. The closer of the unlikely event is rated as a 0. The closer we are to a likely event is rated as a 1. Hell is closer to the one because of both, again, expert knowledge as well as trustworthy character, which revealed the reality of hell. You have to take that into consideration because the probability of hell is very high, especially since there are only two outcomes at the end of life. An intoxicated gentleman, fully inebriated, looked at a stranger and said, "Say, what way is the other side of the road?" And the stranger looked at him and said, "It's just right there." And the drunken man said, "That's strange, because they told me this side was the other side of the road. There's only two options, and you need to look through the outcomes." Here we go to what may be called the perspective of wisdom. If the probability is closer to 1 than to 0, then you've got to use wisdom, which helps you examine the belief and its authority. Let's go to risk management, risk analysis, and risk assessment sciences. As you well know, the probability of the event times the cost of the event is one way to calculate risk. So if the probability of hell is high and the cost of hell is high, you're at very, very high risk. I could help you with some decision-making processes. I could help you with formal risk analysis and decision analysis that will not disrupt and endanger your future. The perspective of wisdom says this: you can approach coming risk by either using existing resources or investing new resources. By using existing resources, if you have the resources, you can handle coming risk. Except in the case of hell, your existing resources are right now, not in the future. You're trying to turn what resources you have right now as a resource for the future, when actually your existing resources get you into tremendous trouble. I know you're doing the right things, you're not stealing from your boss, you're not beating your wife. I know that you're going to church and temple and mosque very often, you're feeding the poor. Those are all good. However, you don't have to do anything to get to hell. My title, How to Get to Hell, is different from How to Go to Hell. To ask you to go to hell would be too offensive. That's none of my business. But how to get to hell is pretty clear. You don't have to do anything. In fact, a man found a book which had the title, How to Get to Hell. When he opened it, there was nothing written in it, because you don't have to do anything to get to hell. We are already on the road to hell unless we change course, unless there's a decision made which changes the destination. So by using existing resources and existing assets, you're actually complicating the process. Your existing assets are actually telling you that there's no way to face the risk. So the other way to do contingency planning is to invest in new resources. A new resource helps you carry the risk of what you face.